Okay, we're working with the activity sheet, which is called Unbound Fields in Forms, and you've been asked to create a query from the Cub Scout Tuck Shop database, which shows each cub, the stock they bought, the quantity and the price. So we're going to go ahead and do that now. So we're going to use query design, and we'll need all three tables for this query. So we're going to pull down the cub's details first of all, and then we're going to think about the stock that they bought. So we've got the description of the stock, the quantity and the price. Okay, so that's kind of where we're going to start. Let's have a look at that. So cub, and then description of what they bought, how many items they bought, and the price of each item. So we're going to go ahead and save that, and it's called query purchase by cub. Alright, the next job is we're going to create a form based on this query. So to create forms, as you know, we use the form wizard. So form wizard, and we're going to add all the fields from that query that we just created, which was purchased by cub. So add all the fields, and it's automatically worked out that we're going to have a form and a subform, and I do want it to have the cub as the main form and the purchases they made as the subform. So let's go to next. It says what layout do we want for the subform. I normally choose tabular because it's a little bit neater. So we're going to name the main form FRM purchase by cub, and then we'll name the subform F sub. I'm just going to call it purchases. If I can spell it right. Let's try that again. Purchases. And then go to finish, and we'll see what it produces. You would now, if this is for the assessment, you'd tidy it up, you'd give it a good title, and you'd make it look neat and tidy. I'm just going to go and do one little thing to make it look a bit neater in my subform. So I'm just going to reduce the width of some of these. Oops. Forms can be, as you now know, a little bit fiddly sometimes. So just see where the end of that field is. There. Pull that in a little bit, and then we'll scroll over and find the price and the quantity. There we go. Let's see how that looks now. Oops. I'll get there eventually, folks. Let's look at form view. Okay, now we can see everything. If you were doing this for real, you'd get rid of all the form selectors and scroll bars and all that stuff, but I'm just showing you the skills today. So I'm just going to move forward through the cub, so now you can see that good old Kit bought a couple of things, and this chap bought one thing. So it goes through and it shows you the quantity and the price of all the items that the kids bought. What I now want to do is create a total down here showing the total of how many items they bought. So we're going to use a calculated field inside the subform. So we're going to go back to design view, and you know this from your experience of creating reports with calculated fields, that we use the footer area to do calculations. So I'm going to drag down the footer area, and I've got a bit of space to work with there. Let's make that a little bit deeper. And we're going to use this icon here. So we're in the design tab, and we're going to use this, which is the text field. And this will create us an unbound text field. Just going to draw that in there. So as you can see, we've got the label, and this is the actual control here. So I'm just going to tidy this up a little bit. I'm going to write into the label number of items, and in this unbound box, now an unbound field is something which is not tied to any field from any other table. And in this field I'm going to write the calculation. So to work out how many items each kid has bought, we're going to start off with equals sum. Just like if you know Excel, if you know spreadsheets, we do these functions to actually do calculations. So equals sum, then I want a normal bracket to start off our formula. So we're going to now work out the total amount of items in this field, the quantity field. So to actually do the calculations in a field, we use a square bracket, and you type in the name of the field that we're doing the calculation on, close the square bracket up, and then, you know maths, we have to close up that other bracket as well, like that. So equals sum, normal bracket, square bracket, quantity, which means we're working with this field, close that and close the round bracket. And now we'll have a look at form view. Well, this child didn't buy anything, so there's nothing in there anyway. So let's find a child. So this is Kit. He bought Oreos and nuts and raisins, and the new calculated unbound field has calculated how many items the child actually bought. I'm just going to save that. So that's the first part of your challenge. I'm going to show you another couple of things that you can do with unbound forms. So back into design view. So you might have the requirement to have the current date and the current time showing on a form. So I'll quickly show you how to do that. So again, in design view, we're going to the design tab, and we're using this text box again. And I want to see today's date and the current time up in my form header area. So I'm going to write date in there, so that's just the label. And then I'm going to write the calculation in here, and it's really quite simple to do the calculation for date. It's simply equals date, open close bracket, and that will show you the current date, I hope. Let's see, 17th, brilliant. Similar thing for time. We're going to use another text box. Again, if I had a little bit more time, I would make this look a little bit smarter and think about my alignment and all the good things that you're going to do, but you can do that. I'm going to write time in here. So the calculation we need for time is really similar. Time, open and close bracket, and now we can see that it is 0027, which it is. I'm sorry, I'm working a bit late tonight. 0027 in there. Obviously I'd want to tidy that up and get all my fields beautifully aligned but because it's late I'm not going to do that. So now we can see that we have some more unbound fields. These fields are not related to anything else in any table. So we've also got unbound fields here. Right, we're going to do one more. So back into design view. So it's all very well me having the amount of pieces of stock that the children bought. I also want to know how much money they actually spent as well. So I'm going to do another calculated field. I'm just going to widen up my subform a little bit and just move this over. So I'm going to have another calculated field underneath here. We use a text box again. Let's draw that in there. You'll do this a lot better than I will. You'll make it look beautiful, I'm sure. Right, so I'm going to call it total. So the label is going to read total. And I'm going to do another calculation in here. Right. I'm just going to widen up so you can see what I'm typing. So we're going to do an equals sum again. But this time is a slightly different calculation. So we're going to, basically to work out the total, you'd need to have the price multiplied by the quantity, and then we'll need to add that together because the kids have bought different items of stock. So we're going to start off with price, again in square brackets for those fields. We're going to multiply, which is an asterisk or a star, by the quantity, close the square bracket, and like we talked about before, close the rounded bracket. Let me just widen that up so you can see what I've done. So equals sum, roundy bracket, price in square, multiplied by quantity, which is written in the square brackets because we're relating it to that field, and then I've closed off my round bracket. Let's see what happens now. Again, this child hasn't bought anything, this one has, and 45 plus 30 is 75. Let's go to another one. Looking for one person who's bought a number of things. Let me see, there he is. I think it's this one here. Right, so now the calculation has worked out 3 times 60 and 1 times 30, and it's added it together using that sum function to make it £2.10p. The last bit that we need to do is just format that so it actually shows as £2.10p in currency style, and that's fairly straightforward to do. So I'm just going to tidy that up so it's the right sort of size now. And all we do, if I open the property sheet up, is go into, make sure you're actually in that control, click on the down arrow next to format, so we're in the all tab, property sheet, format, and then you can choose currency from the drop down list. And when we go back to have a look at it, it's now nicely in currency style. Needs a good tidy up, but that's the idea. So we've now created 4 unbound fields. So we've got this one here, which is summing the amount of items the children bought. This one here, which is working out the quantity times the price, and then adding those together to give us a total. We have this field here, which is today's date and today's time. These are all unbound fields because they're not tied to any other table. I hope that makes sense. Good night.